What's up, good people? We are back. This is the Fryar Place. I'm your host, Irving Fryar, and this is the place where the conversations are fire. Y'all come on in the room. I see one or two of y'all already. You must have been waiting for me today. That's all right. That's encouraging to know that you're waiting for the Fryar Place to come on Fridays at 6 p.m. That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. So listen, as we move forward in the show, please make sure you acknowledge yourself. Please write something in the comments. Don't forget to like us. Don't forget to share us with your friends. We have a great guest today, as I always do. Y'all know I don't play around. I've got some great content for you today. It's going to be a show that may even bring you to tears. Good God Almighty. Yes, it might. It sure. Listen, that's what we do here at the Fryar Place. But before we get into the show, got to do what we always do at this point in the show. We got to pay some bills. So we'll be back right after this.
Are you planning a special trip or a night out? Don't bother with the hassle of driving, parking, and traffic. Just call Ed's Smooth Transport. One-way or round trips available. We will take you there, and we will also pick you up. Enjoy a night on the town with Ed's Smooth Transport. Call us 609-471-2653 or 609-314-6619. Visit our website to take advantage of our monthly specials at www.smooftransport.com. Ed's Smooth Transport, where experience meets comfort.
In Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, there's a slightly slower pace of living. That's also where you'll find the home of Stoltz Fish Structures, where quality, integrity, and world-class customer service are more than just a way to do business. It's a way of life. From our humble beginning over 40 years ago in a small building, to the modern 65,000 square foot facility of today, we've remained at the forefront of our industry. Everything from gazebos and sheds to garages and pergolas, and everything in between.
All right, we are back. Listen, Vinny, I see you. You're Vinny, what's the question? What do you mean, what's today? I'm getting ready to tell you what's today. Are you asking me a question like today is some kind of special day or something? It's December 20th. Is there something special that happened on this day? Am I missing something? Let me know, Vinny. Write it in the chat. I see a bunch of you too. My numbers are high here in the chat, and I don't see any of you acknowledging yourself. Who do I have watching right now? Y'all come on in the room. But listen, I'm not going to hold the surprise any longer. This cat that I have on tonight, young man, very, very inspirational. Hope he doesn't take offense to I call him cat. I call everybody cat. But just, I had to have him on the show. My sister told me about his story. I hit him up on Instagram, and he sure enough hit me right back. He's an author. He's an athlete. He's an advocate and a speaker from Philadelphia, raised in Philadelphia, born and raised in Philadelphia. Today's your birthday. Is that what you're saying, Vinny? You're 55 years old today? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, my brother. Happy birthday, Vinny. I'll have my guest say happy birthday to you, too, when he comes on. Happy birthday, brother. God bless you. I didn't know it was your birthday. I'm sorry. My bad. But he's an athlete, he's an advocate, he's an author, he's a speaker from Philadelphia. Known, here it is right here, known for his extraordinary resilience following a life-changing brainstem stroke. Medical predictions were this: that he would never walk unassisted again, that he would never run again, that he would never play basketball again. But yet and still, y'all, here he is today. Good God Almighty. Tymiak Hawkins, come on in the room, brother. What's going on? Let me give you a hand. I'm gonna give you a hand clap there. There you go. You deserve a hand clap.
And happy birthday. Was that what, Vinny?
Yeah, Vincent Capriati's his name. Good friend of mine, Vincent Capriati. Billy Bell's in the house too. I see. What is that? Tainted Rose. It said Tainted Rose. 461 Tainted Rose is in the house. We got a few people watching right now, man, and they're going to be really, really inspired by the show today. Listen, first of all, I want to thank you. You hit me right back when I hit you up. And man, here you are like a week later on my show, man. I really, really, really do appreciate you coming on and being so responsive.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for reaching out and just taking I guess, a liking to my story.
A liking. It's inspiring. I mean, but even for people who may be going through something in their life right now, and they're gonna hear your story here in a little bit. But for people who are going through something in their life right now, I know pain is pain. I know disappointment is disappointment. Heartache is heartache. Somebody else's 10, maybe somebody else's 1. You know what I'm saying? So 1 for them, but it feels like a 10 for them. So we're all different. But your story is just so inspirational because, I mean, in given the fact of what you had to go through and what you had to deal with and what it took for you to get to where you are now, back to a place where you're so-called normal.
Yeah.
It took so much internal fortitude. It took so much resilience. It took time. You had to do that over time, and people are not necessarily willing to put that kind of time and that kind of fight, that kind of resilience, that kind of determination into whatever it is they're trying to accomplish, whether they're trying to bounce back from a mishap like what you had, or whether they're trying to fight for a business to get their business up and running, or whether they're trying to fight for their marriage or they're trying to fight for their family. But this kind of resilience, man, particularly in a young person like you're 35 years old.
Yeah. And I was 29 at the time, so
that's even more impressive.
yeah.
Where did that come from? Is that something your parents instilled in you?
I would say my parents instilled in me, and something that I learned in sports. So it started with my mom, and in the mindset of, I remember something as little, if I didn't feel well going to school, if I would wake up and say, "Hey, I don't feel well, Mom," she'd be like, "Okay, let's give it a try and go to at least make the attempt to go, see how we feel, see if it's mental. If you don't feel well, then I'll come and get you." So I kind of carried that throughout life as, hey, I got to give it a try. I might not feel 100%, but I give it a try, and at least at the end of the day, I know I gave it my full effort in
Right.
whatever it is that I was doing.
Well, that's a testimony that we're from 2 different generations, because if I told my mama I wasn't feeling good, I'm not going to school today, she smacked me upside my head. Get your behind in school. It was different, Doc. She didn't say, "Nah, no, let's try it. Get up. I got to go to work. You going to school." It was different. But that's cool, and that's great that you developed that way, and you understood what your mom was doing or instilling in you to get you to at least give an effort. And then in the process of putting in the effort, you would see results, and things would actually turn out better, and your mindset would change, and you see things differently, and then you end up persevering and conquering and going through and pushing through whatever it is you. So you're passionate about empowering others to overcome challenges, whether the challenge is physical, whether the challenge is emotional, or whether the challenge is mental. And I'm sure, obviously, what you've gone through, now you're trying to pour back into other people. Where do you do, where can we find you? Where can people find you? How can people get to you and hear what it is you have to impart to others?
So, in today's day and age, social media, of course. So on Instagram, my username is at to the T 2.0. And you can find me on Facebook at Tymiak Hawkins.
Okay.
So those are the 2 places. Social media it's a place where I can get a message out to the masses, or at least it has the opportunity to reach the masses. And in person, I speak. Whoever's willing to hear me talk, I can go outside and talk to the neighbor or to a stranger. Whoever wants to hear my story, I'm willing to tell it.
So don't tell your story yet, but what is it when, in terms of, overcoming challenges? What is some of the verbiage? What is some of the vernacular that you use when you're telling people about, trying to encourage them when it comes to facing challenges and overcoming the challenges and persevering and things like that?
Well, one, I tell people that, as we talked about, as you spoke on, that time, you have to be patient. So I try to tell people that there's good, there's bad that happens, but you have to be able to weather the storm. It starts from within. I'm not going to go into my story just yet, but I know it all starts from within. Nobody can want something more for you than yourself. So it has to start from within first, that want to change, that belief that you can get through whatever it is that you're going through, that you're experiencing, and
Mm-hmm.
understand that it's just a moment in time.
Mm.
It's right now. We get so caught up in who we were or what we were, so we could get caught up in the past, which one of my cousins told me, if you live in the past, that kind of brings on depression.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, you bring that into the present. And then if you live too much in the future, that can bring back anxiety to the present. So
Right.
I try to tell people to stay in the moment as best as they can. Put your blinders on, compare to nobody else,
Mm-hmm.
and understand, just put your head down and work. Don't worry about the time.
Mm. Comparison is a people killer
It is.
because we're all unique in our own ways. We're all special. Matter of fact, you are as I am. We are all originals. God only made one of us, one of you, one Tymiak Hawkins, and one Irving Fryar. And if we walk in our own steps and stop looking to the right and to the left of what other people, who they are, what they look like, or what they have, then we'll stop comparing and we'll do better and actually reach our own destiny and our own potential, as opposed to trying to compare ourselves to someone else and trying to do what they do and be what they are and have what they have. And we can never do that. We can only, the best we can do in being somebody else is second place. Be who we are. The best Tymiak Hawkins I can be is second. You're the best one.
Yes.
The best Irving Fryar you can be is second place. You can't get you can't get number one. Only I can be number one. So I mean that's just a great point. That comparison thing is something that, particularly since we have and in your generation, I mean, I guess we all do it in all of our generations, but your generation has to deal with social media so much more so than my generation. I'm 62. But man, it's a killer. It's a people killer and a destiny killer, because people just, they look at what others have and they try to compare what they have and where they're not and what they don't have. And it's a deadening feeling. It's a deadening feeling. So I want to show a video real quick. Then I want you to go ahead and tell your story. I'm gonna stop talking because I can get to talking and talking a whole bunch of nonsense because I'm excited about having you on. I'm excited about your story. We both have been through some mess and have to overcome some things. So I'm encouraged today. You are encouraging me to keep going and to keep pressing and to keep hustling and keep grinding, man, because we've yet to get to where we're going to be. We're not where we used to be, but there's still more for us, for you and for me. So I'm going to show this video, and I want people to see this video. This kind of tells a little bit of the story. When I bring you back, and it's going to show you looking at the story while you're watching it. They'll see your face. But you posted this on Instagram, so I want everybody to see this.
No more one day. No more someday. Start today. Start today. Do you hear me? I said start today. Start today. Make today your day one. And if you really made that decision, congratulations. Because the journey to protecting your peace and being the greatest you has just begun. You're a choice away from a new beginning. And you're a commitment away from a new life. Go live legendary. Somebody gotta do it. Why not you? But like I always tell you, it all starts with you. You keep moving forward, you let nothing hold you back. You live it, you breathe it, you be it. And you never let this world take your smile and your peace. It's rehab time. Let's get it. Share this if you feel this.
Wow. Listen, that was you dribbling both of those basketballs, right?
That was me. Yes.
I can't do that now. Look, I can't do that. I can never do that. I don't know why. As well as I play football, I can never take 2 basketballs and bounce them without losing one of them, man. That was you also in the hospital bed moving your hands. That was you,
Yes,
correct?
Yep, that was me throughout the video.
Listen, tell the people, and I want to hear the story too, because I haven't heard the entire story. At least I haven't heard it from you. Tell the story about what happened. What did you see this coming? Was it something that took you by surprise? This brainstem, this stroke that you had? Tell everybody what happened. When it happened, just tell your story, brother. Tell your story.
So it took me by surprise. The condition that I'll get into didn't take my family by surprise, because it's a condition that runs that through me we found out runs in the family. So it's called cavernous malformation. So I was born with abnormal blood vessels in the brain. My brother was as well. So my brother, he had a hemorrhagic stroke at the age of 4, and he lives with epilepsy. So my family was familiar. So I was 29 when this happened, and just think it was I'm out of college.
So that was 6 years ago, correct?
That was in 2019, correct?
Okay,
We're
years
moving
ago.
towards 6 years.
Okay, well, I just want people to see how far you've come in such a short period of time. That's not a long time ago.
No. So June 5th, the date exact was June 5th of 2019. And the day started normal. I was prepared to go. I was getting ready for my engagement photo shoot with my now wife. And the day started normal. Woke up, take care of my hygiene, and I took a 5-minute drive to the bank to get cash to go get a haircut for the photo shoot. On that 5-minute drive back, I just had this weird feeling. It's still hard to explain. I just felt off. And I remember I caught, instead of driving to my appointment, I decided to catch a Uber because I didn't feel comfortable driving. So go through the appointment, fast forward a little bit, we go to the location for the shoot. Typically I do the driving. As I said, I couldn't drive, so my wife drove. Should have been a little sign for concern, but being the macho in us, it's like, hey, it's not taught to go to the hospital in our community, unfortunately.
Right.
So I want to go to the photo shoot. So we go to the photo shoot, and the photographer asked, could I do some running and jumping and skipping for the photos, and I couldn't. I could barely stand upright. So the whole photo shoot, I'm leaning on my then fiance, and in the pictures you can see as you're taking them, I have a slight droop in my face, and neither of us were aware of the symptoms of a stroke. I'm thinking I'm suffering from vertigo, maybe.
Okay.
So I go into the bathroom to do my outfit change, and I can barely stand upright. I'm leaning over each to change my pants and my clothes. Unfortunately, I make it out of the bathroom, finish the shoot.
Now, were you in pain? I'm sorry, but were you in pain? I'm asking that question because, like you said, you're experiencing these symptoms, and you really don't know what it is. But because you're a tough guy, you're just kind of trying to ignore it and keep doing what you're doing. But these are symptoms that maybe somebody may experience at some time in their life, or maybe have experienced, that they need to make sure they pay attention to. Was it painful, or was it just this abnormality feeling that you had?
It was just abnormality. Sometimes, so I'll go through what the signs are. So it's typically fast or B fast for the acronym for stroke. For me, it was B fast because my bleed happened at the brainstem. So the B is for balance, which was I was having trouble with my balance. E is for eyes. I was experiencing double vision. F is for face, so that facial droop. A is for arm. I didn't experience any tightness in my arm, but towards later on, I had numbness and weak tingling in my left arm. S is for speech, which I didn't really have any trouble with my speech. I could always communicate. And T is for time, to get to a hospital in a timely manner.
Hmm.
So I didn't experience any pain. I just had a little bit of numbness, which I thought maybe, it felt like when you might sit in the wrong position for too long and your foot goes to sleep.
Hmm.
That's what it felt like. The vision, that was a little scary because it was very blurry and cloudy. Um, and yeah, my balance is just thought something, excuse me, sorry, something was wrong with my inner ear.
Okay.
So, we make it through the shoot, and there's a hospital down the street. So my wife asks, "Hey, you want to go?" No, no. I'll go home.
Look, she trying to
Let's get
save your
some.
life, man. You.
She was. That is my angel there. She was. So I say, let's go home, get some food, and I'm gonna take a nap. If I wake up and I don't feel well, then I'll go.
Hmm.
And so this is where it got very interesting, because I was in a deep sleep, and it started to get cloudy in my dream, and
Wow.
it like a heavenly kind of cloudy. So it's pitch black, but I can see like it's starting to get hazy, and then I just hear a voice. It says, "Do you trust me?" It was like a stern, like, just like
Wow.
I knew it to be God in that moment.
Hmm.
And so, and I'm in a deep sleep, so I'm, kind of confused. You're like, wait, I know this voice, but so I'm like, absolutely. And they said, okay, son, well, we have to go. I instantly woke up out of the deepest sleep that I could have been in, more than likely. I tap my wife and I say, hey, we got to go.
Wow.
Go to the hospital. And they take me instantly into the back to run tests.
Hmm.
So they run an IV, and that's when they knew something was wrong, because I didn't feel it. So they take me back. We do a CAT scan, chest X-ray. The doctor goes to come into the room. At the same time, I see a figure. So I'm paint the picture. If we're straight on, to my right is my wife, and off center to the left is the door for the doctor to come in.
Hmm.
So as he's coming in, I simultaneously see like a figure just in the corner of the room. And so as the doctor's talking, I hear him, but I hear the voice say, remember that I'm going to protect you. So the doctor delivers the news that he thinks that it was a mass on my brain from the CAT scan, and they wanted to do an MRI.
Hmm.
So my wife is distraught, but I'm just looking at her like, I'm going to be okay. I can't explain why just in this moment, but I know I'm going to be all right.
Wow.
So we do an MRI, then it comes back. They find cavernous. It wasn't a mass. It was what's called a cavernous malformation, which is abnormal blood vessel that leaks blood onto the brain. So apparently, I had a slow leak onto my brain for maybe a few weeks before I even experienced any symptoms.
Okay.
And so I was spent a week in the hospital, and things got progressively worse. But as you see in the video, that despite no matter how bad it got, I was still smiling and
Right.
moving around, um, just because I knew I was protected.
Hmm.
So come discharge day, the doctors say, hey, he isn't in shape to go home. So by this time, I can't I can't get out of bed on my own. I can't walk. At this point I can barely see. So
Wow.
outside the window, there's a window in the hospital room, and I can just make out colors. So I can tell the sky because it's blue, because what my memory tells me.
Hmm.
But it was times it would come back and then it would go away. So from there, so that was a week. Then for the next 3 months, I was transferred to an acute rehab facility to relearn how to walk, uh, just basic function, relearn how to brush my teeth. I couldn't really do anything. So
So
this
when did you lose all of that? Because when you went to the hospital, you were still walking on your own, correct?
correct.
So while you were in
So
the hospital, you slowly lost all of your movement.
slowly, yes, over the week, over that 2 week
Wow.
span, I pretty much lost the ability to move on my own. Excuse me. I think you see in that video there are nurses that are holding me up with a walker, so I needed a walker to get around. I needed help brushing my teeth, bathing, all the fundamental functions of life. I needed assistance doing in a span of, well, you wake up one day, everything is normal, and then a few hours later, you're experiencing things you never seen coming. So I like to paint the picture that think of an infant when they're learning to walk, talk, and do all those things. I needed that much assistance at
Wow.
the age of 29 to make progress, to brush my teeth, to eat, um to do anything. And the people that were there, my wife and my mom were there, daily with other family members sprinkling in and out. But 2019, the NBA Finals, one of the scariest things, I had to listen to it and not watch it because the
Mm-hmm.
TV screen, I could just make out the colors. I remember Toronto Raptors versus Golden State Warriors. And I knew the colors of who was who based on the
Right.
uniform and the floor.
Right.
And I would just listen. So I had to visualize, like, okay, Steph Curry for three, Kawhi Leonard with the dunk, Kevin Durant, and it was scary, scary times. And I was in the rehab facility for 3 weeks, relearning how to do everything: walk, talk, chew, swallow,
Mm-hmm.
you name it. I had to relearn it.
So when you were finally released from the rehab facility, you were you back to normal, so to speak, or were you still having issues functioning, in your everyday movements and activities, trying to, what you needed to do to take care of yourself? Did that have to continue as you went home to continue to get better at those things until
Yes.
you got back to
So
normal?
yes. So once I was released, they released me because I was well enough to function at home safely.
Okay.
So I still needed a walker to kind of move about the house, but good thing the walls were kind of close, so I was hard headed. I kind of flung that walker,
You got some
told
holes
him
in
to
the
put.
walls. You got some
Yeah,
holes in the walls.
fortunately, I did it, so I was able to keep upright, and that determination was kind of the start.
Okay.
Just at home, learning to maneuver around the house, and I was still going to outpatient therapy at that time. So to rewind, I was doing inpatient therapy at the facility. I was doing 3 hours of therapy, spread out over 6 sessions, so 30 minutes, therapy session, so
Mm-hmm.
occupational, physical, and speech. And they were so short because I had no energy. So after that 30 minutes or so, it was almost like playing a full football game, I would say.
Wow.
Um, and then that changed. I got some more energy. I got home. I was able to do hour sessions at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So hour OT, hour PT, hour speech, um, 3 times a week. So for 3 days out of the week, I was going to therapy for 3 hours. Um, and the doctors attribute, I started to see nothing short of a miracle. I started to see tremendous strides within the first month of being home. I was able to start jogging down the hallway, jogging on the treadmill, like you saw.
Wow.
And it really blew me away because I not that I tried to understand, because I knew God had said I was going to be protected, but it
Mm-hmm.
just surprised me that I went through something so severe and I was able to start running, start jogging, start able to dress myself, brush my teeth, and it was just it was it was surreal in the moment. Because fast forward, so from I went home July the 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
and my wedding, as I mentioned, we were doing an engagement shoot. My wedding was set for September 27th.
Wow.
So three
That's a
months
day.
later,
Listen, that's crazy. You know what? You said two dates that are just crazy to me. You don't understand. You said June 5th. That's the day, not the same year, but that's the day before I got out of prison. I got out of prison in June 6th. You said
uh,
September 27th. That's the day before my birthday. My birthday's September 28th.
and mine is the 30th.
Boy. So listen. Um, when did you get the diagnosis or the information from the doctor that they didn't believe or would be highly unlikely that you would ever walk again unassisted? When did the doctor give you that information?
So the information as far as walking and just walking and running, any of that stuff, that came early on.
Hmm.
So
When it first
in that
happened.
first week,
Hmm.
in the hospital, there was debate on there was a waiting game to see if my body would reabsorb the blood that had bled on my brain, or if I
Okay.
needed to have surgery. I was able to avoid surgery, and I remember one of my first questions being, am I going to be able to play basketball again? And now it sounds crazy that that was the first thing on my
No,
mind,
no,
but
it doesn't, because you were playing before it happened. You were playing basketball, correct?
yeah,
And so,
I think that week before I was playing in our weekly pickup games.
hmm, hmm.
And yeah, next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. So um yeah, that was news that I received early on, and you know, it was heartbreaking at first, but it kind of drove me because I not that I was out to prove doctors wrong, but I was out to prove myself right.
Hmm.
That I believed and prove my faith right, because
Hmm.
I had that dream, and you know, you have to be faithful in order to receive grace. And
Hmm.
um, you know, I never questioned, and I was just out on a mission to prove that diagnosis wrong.
Hmm. Talk to people about that mindset and the times, because I know you're human. I'm human. We've been through our challenges, but there are times in those challenges before we get to the victory. There are times when we 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 feel weak. We feel like maybe we won't make it, or even have thoughts that it won't happen, that we won't get the victory. There are moments when we have doubt, and we have to fight through that. We have to continue to push through that in order to get to the point that you are, in order to get to the point where you're back to normal and doing your thing. Because we can look at other situations and know about other situations where people didn't get back to normal. They didn't make it. They didn't persevere. They didn't get the victory, whether it was because they quit or whether it was because things just didn't go right for them. So there are points in time in that journey where we have low moments that we have to focus and get our mind right and get back on our feet and get back to what it is we're doing to get us to where we want to be. But there's a fight at that moment, and that fight is against quitting. That fight is against how we feel. The fight is against anything negative that may be taking place or maybe trying to grow in our minds and take root in our minds to keep us from getting to the goal that we're trying to reach. Talk to people about that, particularly as a young man. Those moments, or that moment, if you one or two or however many moments you had during that journey that you wanted to quit, that you and then you couldn't, that you didn't quit.
There were moments. I would say more so few than any. I just had an undeniable wavering of faith.
Hmm.
So I didn't have a lot of moments where I wanted to quit. There were
Right.
a lot of moments when it was very difficult, where I thought, on one moment in particular, the thing that scared me the most was my vision. I didn't care really if I could walk again, you know, because there's wheelchairs you can get around in.
Okay.
I
Hmm.
lost function. Well, not function. I could use I'm left-handed. The stroke affected the left side of my body,
Hmm.
so I'm left side dominant. And my mind was, I can use my right hand,
Okay.
but my vision is like, it's nothing that, you know, can replace that. And me thinking about my wedding, I'm like, man, I'll never be able to see my wife, my mom, my brother. I'll
Mm.
never be able to see again. So that was one of those moments where um, I was a little uneasy, but I knew that I just had to get up each and every day and take my time. I understood early on that this was going to be a process. This was just another mark of adversity
Mm-hmm.
that I faced in my sports. I think the doctors would say my athletic mind kicked in,
Mm-hmm.
because as an athlete, we have a special ability to work through adversity, right? Especially when we want to succeed. So
Right.
being able to play basketball at the collegiate level, I would say I achieved some sort of success with the sport. Um, and so that kind of kicked in. It was always thinking, how can I get better, or what do I need to do? And I know it wasn't an overnight process, but um I knew that I just needed to just take it a day at a time, a step at a time, and just show up, simply show up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was for me, just showing up for myself. Other moments, I would say physically, I started to see the strides pretty significant early on. So it became a little difficult when um, I would say I started to heal to the point where if you look at me, you couldn't tell that I had a stroke. So
Right.
for me, I wanted to wear that as a badge of honor, like, hey, this happened and I made it through.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, to go through the mental changes of man, this really happened. You feel the physical changes, the cognitive changes, and it's all right. Well, what do I do now? We went through a pandemic, and I feel alone. So it's like it was uneasy, especially during the pandemic, not being
Mm-hmm.
able to be around people
Mm-hmm.
and figuring this thing out. And that was a moment I started to not to compare, because I'm like, why is my journey a little bit tougher than others? And what I realized is that God gave me a special light, that my journey was going to be unique, as we talked
Mm-hmm.
about coming on. My name and the purpose that my mom had for it is unique leader. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew my path was going to be unique. So looking at me, you can't tell that what I've been through, but it was God trusted me enough to know that I would be able to use my voice to bring light, to shine my light. Um, and that's what helps me through those moments. It's
Mm-hmm.
no matter how tough it might be, even now it's still a little difficult because I'm not able to get so I worked in sales, and that's a demanding, the pace of that is demanding. So
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out new career options, it's been challenging. And with social media, it's easy to kind of get lost in the sauce, like, hey, I'm not comparing. But when you open up your phone
Right.
and you see, okay, somebody has a similar experience, but it's seeing quote unquote more success, or whatever people want to call it. It's like, hey, remember why you started. And
Right.
I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing,
Mm-hmm.
that allows me to keep going through the difficult times, through any of them, is remembering your why.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's my family, of course. So at that time, I was set to be married, and just showing up. One of those moments that was really a wake up moment for me was my brother couldn't come visit me, couldn't stand to see me in that shape. So he wouldn't come. Like, I would talk to him like texts. But it wasn't until I was able to go to outpatient rehab that he could come to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, I remember later on, my mom telling me one day he kind of broke down and asked, is this what he's going to be like for the rest of his life?
Wow.
And um that hurt in a moment, because I'm like, wow, I don't have any control over it, so I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
it's just my faith. So those moments of uncertainty are always hard, like, will I get this back? But for me, each day that I wake up is the opportunity to at least try.
Mm-hmm. That's a word right there. My gosh. You yeah, each day that you wake up, it's an opportunity for at least a person to try. For at
Hmm.
least. That's all right. That's all right there. You said the whole lot just in that. Your husband now. You ended up getting married. You did get married,
Got
right? The
married.
wedding did go on.
The wedding, we didn't
So
change the date.
September 27th, right?
Hmm.
That's awesome,
Correct.
man. So your fiance at the time, your wife now, what was her role in all of this? What what role did she play? I know she was a supporter and she was there with you, but how important was she in your getting back on your feet and recovering? You're 100% now. I'm going to say you recovered 100%. You recovering 100%. What was her role?
Her role, she was the support. She was the glue to with her right side by side with my mom. She was the piece to kind of hold it all together. She had to hold in her emotions or not let me see exactly what she was feeling, and be the support there to say that belief, like the days that might have been hard to get up and get after it, just looking over. So let me pause really quick. So she slept next to my hospital bed every majority of the nights. Her and my mom will alternate, and she slept in a recliner for about a month.
Wow.
And so just to have that ability to look over and see someone right there in the trenches with you, you can understand it as in a game in sports, she's right there with you.
And you weren't married yet. She hadn't married
No.
you, so she
Yeah.
wasn't. I mean, you knew, you had the dream, you believed, and I'm sure she believed too, but she wasn't sure. None of us, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and she hung in there. She stayed with you, not really even knowing what was going to happen. That's awesome.
Nope. And yeah, I remember one, and I'm transparent. So remember having a tough conversation with her, like, hey, I know that this isn't what you signed up for. So I wouldn't blame you if you decided to, continue on with your life, and
Right.
I wouldn't hold anything against you because I know this isn't what you signed up for. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Wow.
So, from early on, I knew, okay, well, if she isn't quitting on me, I can't quit on myself. I need to get up no matter how hard it is, to get up and make attempt to show like, hey, I'm not quitting on myself. So,
Right.
You're here sticking it out with me. So it gave me that extra gear to continue to push.
One day when we get a chance, one day when we get a chance to talk, I'll tell you about my ride or die too. It's somewhat of a similar situation. It wasn't a physical thing like that, but it was, I was in a bad situation, and she hung right in there with me, man. She didn't leave, and I did the same thing as you. You shouldn't be really. I don't know if you want to be around me. You sure you want to do this? But no, that's it's awesome. It's awesome. It's. I always tell the story about Moses. Moses had women around him, and that's why Moses was able to make it, because of the women. One of the reasons why Moses was able to make it. It was, his mother, his mother put him in the basket and put him in the Nile, and then his sister, a sister, followed along, didn't get in what he was in, but she followed along and watched him, kept an eye on him just to make sure that he was all right. And then another lady who was from the community took him out of danger and put him in a good situation. So it was the women in Moses' life that stuck by him, man, that actually aided in him getting to where he was. Thank God for good sisters. Everybody, y'all put your hands together for some good sisters. Thank God for good sisters in our lives. They're invaluable. So when I talked to you the other day, you were just, I guess you were finishing up a class, or were you finishing up a master's? You're doing psychology, right?
Yeah, I was finishing up my first class of my master's program, online master's in psychology. So it was my first class, first time back in school since 2015.
Wow.
And since having a stroke and living with a brain injury. So it was a challenge that I wanted to set out to do, just to continue to inspire people, to show as a stigma around brain injury, around strokes, that once you have a stroke, life is kind of over, or whatever people may say. But I want to show people that if you work hard and you believe in yourself, you can do those things that you set out to do.
So besides that, I know you just said it. When you're talking to people, what is your message to people? Obviously it comes from what you've been through. That's what makes the most sense, and that's what sounds the most believable, because you're saying it from your heart, and you're saying it out of experience. But what is the message that you give people? Because you go around, you're a speaker. You go out and you tell people your story, and you encourage people and try to pour into people hope and inspiration and belief in themselves, and belief that victory is in the future, rather than believing that things, however they may be in their lives, are going to stay the same. No, things can always change, and they can always change for the better. So what is your message to people?
So for one message that I really, take pride in sharing is that no matter what you experience, that simply you matter. We all go through things in life, and I know that people don't like to share the tough moments. I feel that we serve as a blueprint for each other, the trials, the tribulations, and even the wins and successes. We are a blueprint for each other, no matter what. And I think people shy away from sharing themselves, showing up as their authentic selves, because they don't feel they matter after these certain experiences that happen to them. And for me, it's I would like to pour into people to show them that they matter, that they have something to offer the world. That, like you said, we're all created uniquely. We can only be ourselves. We're one of one, and that we need to shine that light, which I learned from my experience. So why I share this message is because I didn't know who I was for a long time, because I had wrapped my identity up in sports. So all I saw myself was as a basketball player. So until God stripped me of what I knew how to do best, it was this is what my identity is. Who are you? I'm an athlete. Who are you? I'm a basketball player. I'm a hooper, whatever you want to say. And I didn't realize my purpose or know what my light was until this experience. So I try to show people that you can find yourself through the experiences of life, through the adversity. Adversity is going to show you who you truly are. Are you going to show up for yourself, or are you going to shy away? In our faithfulness, it's that moment. We all go through moments in life where we're standing at the edge of a cliff, and God is like, hey, are you going to jump, or are you going to step back? And it's like, hey, I don't want to jump. And I stepped back for so long. It was like, hey, I mean, every time I get here, I step back. And what happens? You find yourself in some more adversity. So let's see what happens when you take the leap and you start to share. I started to see me becoming who was created to be, and it having a positive impact on the world. So from there, I decided, hey, to pour into people, show that they matter despite their experiences, because they can bring a light and a joy to someone else who may have gone through something similar. It doesn't have to be as severe as a stroke, but it could be, the loss of a job, grief, loss of a loved one, a friend, whatever it is. I've received so many messages like, hey, I had back surgery and your story helped me. And I'm like, wow, I would have never known. So for me, it's to just show. From that, I learned, like, no matter what, my message, my story matters. I feel that society gets so caught up, the likes, the views, how many people are watching, that it's, hey, as long as I'm telling my story, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because it'll get to the right ears. And that's what I feel we each need to do in order to help each other through life, the ups, the downs. So for me, it's be yourself, show up for yourself, and shine your light, because you matter. And that's what I want people. We see, look at the numbers I'm in a lot of stroke support groups, and I see people, I want to go back to how I was, and life isn't worth living anymore. And I'm like, it is. I understand that this hurts, this is painful, but there's still a reason for you to be here. There's something for you to do, to share this experience. I'm a firm believer that our experiences aren't for us. So it's my experience. This happened to me for somebody else to learn from.
Right. But you have to share it. But you got to share it in order for someone else to learn from it. You've got to you got to have that understanding. And it's amazing. I was thinking exactly the same thing when you said it, that we don't everything we go through, everything we have to deal with is not just for us. We deal with it and we persevere and we endure and we get to the other side of it, not just so we can brag about the victory, not just so we can be happy about the fact that we made it through, but we are able to conquer it and persevere and have victory so we can go back and tell somebody else, because we're not the only one who's ever had to deal with something like that, who's ever gone through something like that. There are other people dealing with the same thing, and they need to hear your story. They need to hear my story, because it's going to help them and empower them to have the courage to persevere, to hang in there, to see it through, to fight it, and to get to the other side, and then do the same thing. Play it back from their lips. Play it back to somebody else. So, man, I'm encouraged by your story. I'm encouraged, particularly, and see, I'm 62. So to me, you're a young man. I was still playing ball when I was 35 years old. So I'm really, and I was still stupid when I was 35. So I'm really encouraged. No, I am, seriously. I'm very, very encouraged by your maturity, and I'm not saying that, in a facetious way. I mean this with all sincerity. By how you're handling the situation, by the insight that you have, by the what you have in terms of the wisdom in order to know that this is something that is not by chance or not by coincidence, but you went through what you went through and came out on the other side because there's a message that you have, and you have this burning desire inside of you to share the message, because there's other people who are coming along who need to hear your message, and your message will be encouraging to them. Your message might be the words that they need to get them over the hump, to get them to the next level, to actually get them to where they're going to be into a better place. So, man, keep up the great work, brother. Just keep doing what you're doing. Do you go speak at churches?
That's the next thing that's next on where I feel I need to be in the community, in church, speaking, sharing my testimony. I haven't yet, but that's been something that has been in my mind to do.
Okay. Well, if God spoke to you as clear, which I believe He did, spoke to you as clearly as He did, and that's what you hung your hat on. That's what you grabbed a hold to, the voice of God telling you you're going to be all right, in spite of what the doctor said, in spite of what you saw in the mirror, in spite of what you felt, in spite of what was happening in terms of your lack of mobility. You believe what God said to you. So, yeah, there's a place for you also in the church for you to share your message and to give people hope, hope, man. So, but go tell it. James Hicks said, go tell it on the mountain. Hicks, you crazy. He's a friend of mine. He said, go tell it on the mountain. No, but you do. I don't know if you're talking about, you talked about social media. Maybe you need to start a podcast. I don't know.
That's all. So the funny thing about this is, though I like to, it's taking that step. I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people. I think I had that when you get on social media to then start to put the story out there, and I'm like, hey, I went live when in the worst shape of my life in the hospital. So what is holding me back? So
what's holding you back?
That's all been, you get in your own head,
So what's holding you back? So what's holding you back?
Myself.
Okay.
Just to be honest, it's myself, and really continuing to take that leap. You want to hold on to life as you kind of know it, the security of doing, career and things like that, versus let me fully step into what I was called to do. So I'm just working through that. That's the season that I'm in now, working through that to step out, start a podcast, and getting over my perfectionist ways, thinking I have to have the best equipment and just get started and just start talking.
James Hicks. Who does he sound like, James Hicks? James Hicks is a podcaster. He's got a podcast, and he's one of the gentlemen that I know that uses the same software that I use. We use a software by the name of Ecamm, and he's a guy that I refer to when I'm having problems with my stuff. I do all my stuff in my studio and all that kind of stuff. But it was the same thing for me. I've been podcasting now doing these shows now for almost 2 years. And it was the same thing. I need do this, do that. you'll never get started. Just just go live, push the button, and tell your story, and then you can build what it is you want as you go along. But yeah, if you need anything, please don't hesitate. You have my number. Call me. I'll call Hicks, and we'll get you, because you got a story, brother. You do. You have a story that needs to be told. We're all miracles. We are. We're all original miracles, never to be repeated. Miracles of human personality. That's what you are. But you got an extra story in it, Doc. You got an extra wing, an extra gear. You got a little extra in your story. Because, I mean, you faced immobility and you beat it. You faced a stroke. A lot of people have strokes and never recover. You don't look like you said, you don't look like what you've been through. Nobody can ever tell. You talk well. You're very articulate. You're well spoken. You look good. Yeah. People cannot tell that you've been through what you've been through, and that's hope for people who are going through what you went through. So you have a story to tell. Don't try to take that thing, man, and put it under a rock. Let it be known. You get up on the mountain, like Hicks said. Get up on the mountain and tell your story, because people need to hear your story. And like you said early in it, it includes God. You heard the voice of God. And that's what gave you the hope and the faith that you needed to hang in there, to persevere, because you believed you're going to be all right.
Yep.
But you also knew you had to work to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Faith, what they say, faith without works is dead. Absolutely. I knew, and each time that I try to get uncomfortable and run, God brings me right back to it. So I get on social media, I share, and like, is it helping? And every time that I might find myself asking, God will send a message to me through someone else, like, hey man, I saw your story. Like, even the message from you, I'm like, wow, it's really
yep.
What it's really, it's working. So
well, I downloaded the video. I have the video in my phone, and I watched the video. I'm like, wow, this is impressive.
So I think, just like I said, getting out of my own head, and really, I don't think I've shown myself enough grace yet in this journey. And I think that's another thing for the people. Show yourself grace. We all make mistakes. We go through things. But my exact diagnosis was, from a hemorrhagic brainstem stroke, there's a 25% chance of survival. And then of that 25%, there's only a 10, based on the statistics, there's a 10% chance of full recovery.
Recovery, right.
So here I am, or significant or full, whichever word we want to use. But I don't think I've taken the time to show myself enough grace. And that's something that I try to tell people to do. Show yourself grace. Speak kindly to yourself.
Yeah.
Because that was something that I didn't do early on. And I know even now it's like, hey, yeah, like you said, you have a story, you have to tell it. You made it through this for a reason, and that is my goal for not even next year, to start here on out, just sharing more little by little, and just messages that are continuously from the heart.
So in your bio, and I'm gonna let you go, but in your bio, it says that you're an author. Have you already written a book, or are you in the process of writing a book?
So I wrote a book. I'm in the process of I don't want to say rebranding it, but adding some things so I put it out already as the raw. It was just like a diary, essentially, for me, just telling my story. And what I wanted to do was, people were asking for journal prompts and things like that, to include that for me to include in a book that helps them to write their thoughts as they're reading my story. So I just want to make some changes and give the people what they, what's going to be beneficial to them, and a more enhanced product for them.
So you say you put it out already? It is out already?
Yes, it is. It is out. You can get it. It's on Amazon. It's called Becoming a Light. I have it
Becoming a
here
light.
because
There
I
you
actually
go.
really like.
There you go. That's what you're supposed to do, my brother. If I had
Yep.
known it, I would have
Yeah,
had it up here and put it up here. Becoming a light. Y'all see that?
it's called
Becoming a light.
Becoming the Light. Navigating darkness after a stroke. But what I want people to take from it is not just that word stroke. You just put a blank there. Navigating darkness after whatever it might be, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is in your story that you feel is a dark moment.
That's good.
And just wanted to share my darkest moment, with people in hopes that it would help them out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Becoming a Light, and it's on Amazon. And look for part 2, version 2, pretty soon. He's going to
Yeah,
come in. He's going
it'll
to
be a
redo
revamped
it and put it
version.
out part 2. Yeah,
Yep,
that's awesome. Well, listen, Ty. Can I call you Ty?
you can.
That's how I think I called you Ty the first time I reached out to you. It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna have you back on again. Are you an Eagles fan? First of all, I just should
I
have
am.
asked you this. That
Oh,
should have been my first question to you. Are you an Eagles fan?
I am an Eagles fan.
Okay, all right, we're good. All right,
Yeah,
I was just checking. Just
look, I used to see you running across the TV when I might have been 7 or 8. Number
7 or 8 years old.
running
Yeah,
slants.
he remembers running the slant. Yeah, that was my favorite route, man. It's like AJ Brown's favorite route. His favorite route was the
Yeah,
slant.
so
That was my favorite route, man.
my
But
wife and I,
listen.
we were just at the Jacksonville game.
Okay, you were. Okay, good.
Hmm.
Well, you're in the area. Listen, anytime you're down this area, give me a call. I would love to get together with you, break bread with you, spend some time with you. We know the iron sharpens iron. I would love to spend some
Yes.
time with you, brother. You're a sharp brother, and you're a miracle. You're a modern day 21st century miracle. Whether you know it or not, I'm telling you. And keep shining, letting your light shine, brother. Just keep letting your
Will
light
do.
shine. You're doing a great
I will.
job. All right. So give your people your last words before we go.
The last words
Yeah,
is, as we
not your
said,
last, not your
shine
last
your
words.
light.
Not your last. I'm sorry, it's not your last words. Just
No,
your
the
final
last
words for
words
today.
of
Yeah,
the
your final words for today. My bad. My bad. My
yeah,
bad.
no. My last words, I would say simply, as you just told me, shine your light. Know that you matter. No matter what you're going through, you have a purpose here. We all go through things in life, and lean on the people around you. But but like you told me, don't shy away. Don't go under a rock and take your light with you. Shine that light unapologetically.
Mm, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to show some commercials. I'm going to say bye to the people, but brother, thank you so much for being here today. Tell your wife I said thank you for allowing you to come on today, because we can only do what they allow us to do. You know that, right?
Right.
If you hadn't, I know have been married as long as I have, but you'll find out we can only do what they allow us to do.
I know. I know.
He said, I know. All right, brother. Appreciate you. All right. We'll be in
All
touch.
right.
All right. All right. God bless you, bro.
Thanks.
God bless. Boy, that was awesome. That was awesome. Tymiak Hawkins. Did you all hear that 35-year-old young man, I call him a 35-year-old young man, tell his story about having a stroke and not being able to see, not being able to walk, not being able to talk, not being able to take care of himself, and going from that. I mean, just in a matter of a day and a half, he went from being okay and being normal, going to a photo shoot and stuff, getting out of whack, and then all of a sudden in the hospital, and now he can't do anything for himself. And then going from there in a matter of weeks to a rehab facility, and then from the rehab facility going home, and then, making progress while he's at home, but not giving up hope. All he wanted to make sure he could do was see with his eyes. He said, even if I can't move or walk on my own, there's wheelchairs. I mean, come on. Who thinks that positively when they're going through something like that? I mean, some of us, we have lesser tribulation in our lives. And I'm not trying to minimize anybody's trouble or pain or situation, but when you can't move, when you can't see, when you can't walk, when you can't take care of yourself physically, Come on, you can't talk. That's pretty serious. That's pretty serious. And to go and to keep the faith when you're in a situation like that, when just days before you could play ball, you're running up and down the basketball court, you were normal, and you go to a photo shoot that you're taking because you're engaged and you're going to get married, and then 2-3 days later you're in the hospital, and it's the total opposite. It's the total opposite. You're almost paralyzed. And then to fight back from that, when the doctors said it would be very unlikely that you're going to fully recover from this. That's a great story. Richard said, "Oh, so that's why you don't like me. I'm not a fan of the Eagles because of their fans." Oh, Richard, no. Who said I didn't like you, Richard? When did you ever hear me say that, Richard? Huh? I love you, Richard. I may not like who you like. I might not like the team that you like, and I might not like the fact that you like that team, but I still love you, man. Still love you. Ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with your choices. You make bad choices, but I still love you. It's all right. Billy Bell. Yes, it did. It had to be scary. It had to be scary. Here's the other thing too. And I really didn't, hone in on this. I didn't ask him that much about this. I did ask him about his wife and her being a support and the support system, or part of the support system that she was. But yeah, it's important. It's important that when you go through whatever it is you go through, because we all go through something, and if you're always in one of three places in life. You're either in a storm, just came out of a storm, or getting ready to go into a storm. That's where we all are in our lives, in one of those three places. And when you're in your storm, it's important that you rely on your support system. It's important to have a support system. Now, I say that because many of us are a part of someone else's support system. So it's important for us to be that support when we see, whether it's a friend, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a family member, when we see them and know that they're going through difficulties, don't point fingers, don't judge, don't be cynical. Be there to help, be there to assist, be a part of the support system. It's important. He would not have made it. Tymiak would not have made it if he didn't have the support system. He wouldn't have. He really wouldn't have if he was all by himself and had to fight by himself. No, you need to have other people fight with you. Even if it's just one or two people, you need to have a support system. And some of us, all of us at some point, are somebody else's support system. So make sure when you're a part of somebody's support system, make sure you're there to support, and support in a positive way. Whatever it is you need to do, whatever your part is, be that part in their support system, that piece of their support system. That's important. For all of us. Anybody who's watching right now that's ever been through anything that needed to rely on somebody, or needed to lean on somebody, or needed someone else's support, if they didn't have it, if you didn't have that support, you never would have made it. The most difficult time of my life, there were just 2 or 3 people who were my support system, but they were there for me. And it's important that you're there for the people who need you to be there for them. I'm going to stop preaching. Merry Christmas to you too, Billy Bell. You awesome, man. Richard, why you laughing, man? I'm kidding too. I mean, I do love you. I love you. I don't like the Bills, and I don't like your choice of the Bills. I'm not kidding when I say that. Eddie Casper, don't forget about next Sunday. Yes, sir. That's the Eddie Casper. You're gonna have to send me information about where your tailgate is going to be. All right, send me that information. Either you or Billy Bell send me the information, because I know Billy's going to be there too. No. You don't have to get me a ticket. I'm going to be at the game. I got 2 tickets. I got them from the Eagles. The wife and I are both going to be there, Billy Bell. So don't worry about getting me a ticket. We're going to show up at the at your tailgate for a minute. I have an appearance at 1:30. I know the game is at 4:30. I have an appearance at 1:30, so I got to get there a little bit early, come to your tailgate, then go to my appearance. So we'll be at the tailgate just for a little while. We're not going to stay the whole time. We're going to be there for a little while because I have an appearance at 1:30. All right? Just making that clear to you. But reach out to me. Let me know where your tailgate is going to be. I got to get out of here, y'all. It's 7:12. I'm over my time. Eddie Casper, shout out to you. He said, will do. Yes, brother. I'm looking forward to it. Billy Bell, shout out to you. Richard Melton, always much love to you, my cousin. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. James Hicks, are you still in the house, man? You're always sneaking in. You don't say nothing. You always sneak. You watching and you're taking notes and you making sure things are all right here at the Fryar Place. But you hardly ever say anything. You must have gotten inspired. Something must have pricked your heart for you to have to write in there, go tell it on the mountain. And yes, he should go tell it on the mountain. Vinny Capriati, are you still around? If you are, God bless you. Mama, I see you. Tainted Rose, I see you. In the house. Let me see, go down the bottom. The game may get flexed to 1. I hope it doesn't get flexed to 1. It better not get flexed to 1. Why would it? It shouldn't. It's the Dallas game. No, it shouldn't get flexed to 1 because the Eagles will probably still have to win to, keep their position at least at number 2 in the NFC East. Hopefully the Lions will lose a game somewhere between now and the end of the season. But we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get flexed, Ed Casper. If it does, well, then we'll just have to make an adjustment. And my appearance obviously will be earlier before the game, but I still have 2 appearances for the Eagles. Originally it was 1:30 and 2:30. They'll make them earlier. And then guess what? I'll just have Bikes, Green Bay at 1. Okay. Don't know what that means. Oh, Vikings and Green Bay at 1. So whatever it is, we'll make the adjustment. And I'm sure you'll have your tailgate a little bit earlier. But anyway, listen, we'll be back next week with another great show, another great guest. My gosh. It couldn't have gotten any better than today. I hope you all got a message today, got the message today. And I hope that's fake news from social media. Flex, I got you. That's pretty good, Richard. Hope you got a word of encouragement today. I did. I feel better. I do. I feel better because of that young man and his story. It's just awesome. There's some strong, great people in this world and who have great stories that inspire those of us who are going through. But anyway, we'll be back next week with another guest here at the Fryar Place where the conversation, and that conversation was fire. This is where the conversations are fire. So listen, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to other people. Why? Because you reap what you sow. See you next week. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. We're out. Peace.